Hi, welcome back channel, TrainStation2. Alright, we got first in the Gold Rush event, first competition, and I'm really happy to share with you the fact that we have completed 30% of the event maps, and of course here, really high player of 899 level and a 706, but nonetheless really happy we create a huge gap between ourselves. Alright, so looking at this, that's the end of this event, but before that let me share with you more in terms of the trains you can get from this event itself. Alright, so back in time, 2 days ago. Right, so this is the starting point of the event. Once we unlock it, as usual, there's the progression mapped. So you do note that eventually you'll be stuck with just one or two jobs actually. So you gotta bear in mind these are the things that you do not want to have a pit for in the progression of your event, because midway you'll be stuck with two jobs. You really have to complete that job before you can proceed further. So with that, welcome to the Gold Rush. This is a new event, totally, and of course, this is really surprising. At the start of event, normally you do not ask for event items, but this event kind of strange though. But nonetheless, let's see how we go. In terms of raw materials, you can get it straight away. This is a new indeed fairly new approach, given the fact that we used to getting only raw materials after completing some basic jobs. But again, things changes. This something you're gonna do as well. Spend some bucks, Union dollars, into the innovation center, and really that helps because that increases the capacity of the legendary trains. Alright, so additional training capacity is something that's really great, and not forgetting the fact that you should watch those videos wherever possible, and grab those exclamation mark items or even whistles. So all this will give you some extras, be it parts or items. Do remember to spend 110 gems to expand two more slots for the factory. 30 gems for one first slots, and 80 gems for the second. So in total, 110 gems. Then, like I said, Union dollars. I think I spent about 200 Union dollars to increase 20 capacity for legendary trains. Not only they bring stuff like raw materials back faster, delivery is faster. It also helps in the logistics center. Bear in mind there will be some really good trains that we put in the logistics center. They are legendary. That would also help. And last but not least, when they got collected of the gold every 4 hourly, the additional training capacity brings back more gold as well. But of course, during competition wise, training capacity makes a huge difference in terms of your ranking in the competitions. That's the reason why I managed to get a huge gap in terms of myself and the second in place. They are fighting among themselves for sure, but for me, I'm in the safe haven. There's a good, what, 500 EP gap, so I have no worries about fighting with the second at all. So that's all thanks, as I mentioned, to the new innovation center, and of course, with a strong team that we've been doing really well in terms of the union play. We got more union dollars as well. So all this comes into play. The other things I'm going to share with you is the preparations before the event. Normally what I do, I will have all the factories worked to the max, which is all filled to the brim. Input and output tray all filled up, warehouse all filled up as well. And at the start of competitions, I will collect lots of those event raw materials that allows the production of your event factory to go round the clock whenever you're busy with your dispatches out of town. So these are the things you got to bear in mind. Factories shouldn't stop producing, especially the event factory. How do you have that so much of the raw materials? Of course, that question is extremely good. you need to collect them before you send your dispatcher out every single hour. So this is something to bear in mind. Shouldn't be too anxious to send out your dispatches without collecting raw materials first, because you are basically wasting time having to create raw materials, finished products in an event factory. That would waste time. The dispatchers are idling in your depot, and you can't produce fast enough, and you'll be ended up probably very desperate, spending gems as well. So do not fall for that. Make sure you do lots of planning. This whole game is about logistics planning, when to get your materials in before you send your dispatcher out for a 1 hour dispatch itself. Every couple of hours, you get additional help for an hour. That's a temporary dispatcher. Again, I got to focus on how to fully utilize that additional dispatcher. There are two ways in it. One, of course, if you are continuously playing this game, you can keep on using the dispatcher to collect items. If not, what I usually do, because I only lock in like 1 hour for 1 or 2 minutes, what we do is we will basically collect that additional dispatcher by watching a video probably 5 minutes after I send out all the rest of the dispatches. And with that new dispatcher unlocked, we send it out for a job. So when all my remaining dispatcher comes back an hour later, the additional dispatcher, the temporary one, will be 5 minutes apart. And with that, we can, within 1 minute of itself coming back, we spend one gem, and we can basically record it back in Express, and then we send it out again. So in that context, you're using that additional dispatcher for one more round, using just one gem as the cost, which is really cheap to get an additional dispatcher for. Think about if you're going to spend that 20-30 gems to get additional dispatchers for a couple of hours. I think that's worthwhile. So one gem is good. Initially, I do not realize what's that item you saw that just now. Then realize that gives a good number of additional power to your steam engine. So you're wondering why your steam engine is so powerful nowadays. It's because of that item, and there is a certain duration of that items. It's not permanent, but if you checked your trains, you realize your steam engine actually having additional capacity, all thanks to the item. How I wish we could have this as a permanent feature, but no, I think it's just a temporary time basis. As usual, it's a profit making company. The best is you spend real money to buy it, right? So with that, of course, the other thing you got to bear in mind is to start late. Normally, I start about 10 to 12 hours late. Not too late, of course. If you start beyond 12 hours, sometimes you face a risk of not being able to participate in the competition altogether, because there's a time that they disqualify you from participating in the competition itself. I faced it once. I never want to try again. So in preparation for the second competitions, you really have to do a lot of collection of the raw materials and make them into finished goods, store them in the warehouse, and have tons and tons of them. Every single item, if possible, a couple of hundreds or even thousand. Of course, at the same time, you're going to basically have your factories building those non-event items as well, because those are the things that you put into your event factory. You basically need those space to be manufactured, and then eventually raw materials for manufacturing, be it the finished products in the factory warehouse. You do not want to waste your warehouse space. So just bear in mind how you're going to manage it is your warehouse should contain most of it, the event items. The factory, the non-event factory, should be storing the finished products that takes a long while to build in the output tray. The input tray should contain raw materials that you may be useful for your event itself. So make lots of copper, lots of steel blades. All these are important items you should have in preparation for the event. And not forgetting the fact, once you do that, your space is always running out. You continuously got to increase the population through doing the building upgrades, and with that increase your warehouse spacing. but easy said than done. Then utilize the logistics center. All right, so with that, thank you for watching. Do like and subscribe. Goodbye.